All right, welcome back to Lift for Dead Garage. Sorry for the background noise. Got two heaters running. It is unnecessarily cold here in North Carolina. More pinky action. I was actually planning on working on my orange truck, but it's cold, so we're on pinky. Plus, this thing is so close. I honestly feel like it may roll out of here on its own today. I was supposed to go to the exhaust shop today. Today's Friday, the 21st of February. Thankfully, I sent them a message and they're appointment only for a job this big. So next Friday, it's going for exhaust. There's a few piddly things I want to do today before I get it on the ground. It appears that I need to redo this short brake line on this driver's side. It keeps weeping. No. So, last time I looked at it, it was wet. Let's look together. Oh, it's dry now. Oh, wait. I don't know if that one little drip right there is fresh or not. So what I'll do is I'll wipe it right now and we'll periodically check it through the day. So I'm back here with the back half of the truck, wiring that up, and I ran into a little snag with the tail lights. So they're 2-bulb tail lights, but they're 2-bulb single filament. This harness does not share like a brake and a tail or a brake and a turn. So you got tail light wire, brake light wire, turn signal wire going to the back. So I needed some sort of double filament. Well, I had the bright idea. Well, first of all, it did have, like, since this thing has a tag in the middle now, it's got a roll pan. Oh, I got a tag light too. So, since it has a roll pan, we'll discuss this in a minute. Since it has a roll pan, it didn't need a driver's side tail light because the original driver's side tail light was where the tag would have been. So, I've kind of sorted that issue out because it's got a clear lens in the bottom. I lost the tail light. Here it is. So, all I did was paint it on the inside. It actually, I believe they have them, technically they're mounted upside down, I believe, on this truck. Simply because I think, I might be wrong, I think the tag was above the tail light. So what I've got is I have crammed two 1157 sockets in this tail light. I haven't took the passenger side one off yet. I'll show you how I did it in that one. There may be 47 other different ways to do this. So when I got the bulbs in there, the lower one was just too tall to put the lens on. So I'm going through this stuff my uncle gave me, a bunch of bulbs, and I seen these Ron Francis bulbs, but all I noticed was the fact that it said Ron Francis and they were packaged with a peanut, you know, packing peanut. Charlie eagle-eyed the fact that it said double filament, and then I kind of passed them by because they were amber. Well, it's got the right post on it. It's got the same post. Let me show you. It's got the same post arrangement as an 1157. See how they're offset? Not offset. I tried hard to find some clear ones, but even those, that part number there really only shows up on Summit. So it must be, and maybe some motorcycle stuff, because there was some motorcycle online stuff that showed bulbs pretty similar. They do make a low profile 1157, but even through Amazon it wasn't anything I could get this week. So it does have an amber bulb in the bottom, and it doesn't really affect the brightness of this red lens. So I'll try to stick you to the garage door and I'll show you how it looks. But what I've done is I mounted those sockets in the bottom with these stainless screws, and I managed to cram a grommet in there and bring all 4 wires out. The blue tape signifies the brighter filament, so I can kind of keep up with it because it's all black wires. So let me stick it to the door here. And we'll use the power probe. So I'm not 100% sure what arrangement I'm going to use. So there's the low amber bulb, which technically this thing would be on the truck like this. So low amber bulb, high beam or high filament amber bulb. That's the low on the 1157. That's the high. So I don't know if we'll run both the lows as a tail light. So there's both low filaments as a tail light, and that would be a turn signal. And then obviously tail light, brake light. I don't have enough hands. So this is tail and brake, and that would be turn signal. I don't know. I'll play around with it a little bit, but as far as mounting, well, Lord have mercy. I am not saying I'm a professional. Please don't think I am. But what the crap is this? I think they missed. And then I have no idea what this was for. And it did have a nut on it. I think it's laying right there. So I don't know if they was using it as like a stop to hold the taillight level, or what's going on. And it sure seems like there's a lot of filler in this bed, but it doesn't line up. It's cracked here too. But I like to never got it out of here. But the taillight, I mean, like it was hung. But we'll run the wires through, and then they had it like this. So we'll put it back on there just like that, like they had it. I believe it's actually crooked, like staggered, leaning to the right in the frame. I don't know if I can go in there and massage that inner panel. You see that little step in there, and right here, this piece, it would be this piece. I don't know if I can go in there and try to open that up and get this tail light, you know, back straight up and down or what. But that one's still bolted on. We'll get this one mounted, and then I'll take that one apart, and I'll show you my method, and then I'll show you my method of attack for putting the bulbs in here. So it may be a better way to do it, but this is all I can come up with at the moment. All right, so that little hex, or that little Allen screw, must have been some sort of leveling stop, because it's on this side as well. You can see where it might have bumped up against it. I'll figure out something better than that. I'll just take that out. This light seems to be even more crooked than the driver's side. If you tighten it up, it'll probably actually hit the roll pin right there. So might do a little doctoring on that. And if I got enough stud on that tail light, then I'll put a nut and a washer on the stud, and that'll set the depth on that bed post. So I'll just share that. We'll get that one off, and we'll see if we can modify it too. All right, so here's what it looks like inside there. Got two little bulbs. Now originally, you can see those three holes. I screwed the sockets to this and was just going to use it as a plate. This bulb, however, the assembly just sticks up too high. Now, these are just some old Amazon specials, no frills. I mean, just basic stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this whole assembly out. I'll mark it as carefully as possible, keep them in line. We'll drill through, use these little stainless screws, and we'll mount them in there. So let's pray I don't screw this up. Even if I do, I'll just buy another one, because I need to run across town. I need to try to go today and get parts for the wipers and these daggum headlights that I'll discuss later. Another bit of why? $7 could have done it right, but no, they chose, I'll show you. So let me maybe stick you to something and we'll get to modifying. All right, so that's the bulbs mounted in there. Let's double check that they work before I fully put it together. and we'll go ahead and label the high and low wire. So we're all working. We'll put the lens back on and see if we can't fix those holes and try to straighten these things up a little bit. And I'm gonna put a nut on this too. Plenty of room. We'll do might do a washer, and then a washer and a nut, and then maybe a washer, and that'll bounce it out enough. And then I'm pretty sure that looks 1/4-20, so I'm sure I got some 1/4-20 nuts here. So let me put the lens back on, and I'll get back to you. Well, I don't guess I have to waller these holes out. They're pre-wallered. You see that? They actually make a bracket that bolts onto this, which I know sticks them out to the side, but good Lord, man, that's rough. I never realized this tailgate didn't function. It's just bolted in there, which is kind of weird. I mean, maybe it doesn't have to function. Wouldn't have those ugly chains, but I don't know. It's just something I noticed. So it pretty much fits in there straight. If you just, probably too close to tell, but it's pretty straight. We'll find out once it's out and you're looking at it from far away and see how cockeyed it looks. We'll worry about it then, but ooh, about dropped it. I'm gonna get these things bolted in and we'll start pulling some wire. Well, it's been a several days since I've done a video. I got a little ahead of myself here, but I guess it's a good thing. Truck is on the ground. Let's step back here, and because we've not seen much of this on the ground deal. Now it's not ready to go, but it's got somewhere to go in the morning. I've got to get it loaded. We're going to take it to the exhaust shop, but I got to finish clearing my path here. Pretty sure I can fit through there, but it's going to drive itself to the front yard, and it's got to have a bath. It's been needing that. Need to tape up the wiper studs or the leak in the truck, but it does have tail lights and brake lights and turn signals, and I'm going to have to change the bulbs in my little plan that I had here. The 1157s, they oh so gently hit the glass lens, because the glass lens, it's the shape and it just doesn't work out well. So I got another set of those little miniature double filament bulbs. We'll just put those in it and it'll be okay. My brake line is not leaking. I've been checking that. I have started it. I've got fuel in it. Gas gauge works. Like I said, there's still several things that I need to finish up. I've probably got, I kid you not, trying to get this front end bolted back together and most of all the bolts put back in it that I could. I probably got 6 or 7 hours. Probably honestly more than, I know more than that, but 6 to 7 that I've kept up with. Still missing a few here and here. I don't know what I'm going to do about this one. I believe they had a nut on the inside. I don't have, well actually I do. I didn't think I did. I have the post that goes right here, but this such a misalignment going on that if the post rings the hole, the hood overlaps. I guess I could have left that in there and showed you. Got to get clips for the headlights. That's another impressively half-assed thing. That was a $4 proper piece, was $4 per side, and they put some sort of rubber sticky. So I'm just going to take that off because it's going to fall off tomorrow. Yeah, headlight clips, and that would have went on there like it's supposed to. Pretty concerned about this hood alignment. I got a feeling that means I'm going to take the front end sheet metal back apart, get everything loose, close the hood, and then work around the hood. Maybe, I don't know. It's bad. Like, probably, like I was saying, it's well over this body line on this side, and that post needs to be there. And also, I got questions about the
the latch. I don't have the spring for the post or the spring retainer plate or whatever. I'm not sure what it's called, but you know, like I said, it's not done. When it's running and vacuums on the brakes, the pedal kind of falls, and when it falls, it turns the brake lights on. So I need to do either adjust the brake switch per it running with vacuum, or try to add some sort of like a spring on that pedal. So, but I mean, there's still stuff to do. I won't go through the list because I've ran through the list 100 times, but we're going to try to get this path cleared out and see if this thing will drive out under its own power, and we'll get her on video. But it ain't going far. What I'll probably do is just run it up and down the street, not even at speed, just first gear, reverse first, just kind of feel it out, power steering, see how the brakes feel, that sort of thing. No real test drive. The toe has not been properly set yet either, so I can't really drive it just yet. But we're getting there, so close. Hopefully everything else will play nice and this truck can leave soon. So let me get my path cleared and we'll see if we can ease it on out for the first time. Well, I thought I had a drive away kind of thing going on, video on my phone, because my mic was dead. Apparently I didn't hit record, so we do have a little bit of footage coming out of the shop that you'll see or have already seen. Yep. Let's just roll it up and down the street, see how it does. It's getting dark. I need to get this thing loaded and washed ASAP. Well, the brakes ain't much worth of crap, but I bought a new tool for that, so we'll get it back, try that out. When we get this thing safely loaded, we'll haul it all to the car wash and spray everything off, Suburban trailer and everything. Suburban's not moved since before Christmas.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Product, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
All right, it's been over a week since I've worked on Pinky. It obviously, you see it's driven out of the shop, and we went and got exhaust work done. Playing around with it in the road. I might have told this in the earlier part of the video. If I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but it has very minimal brakes. It'll slow the truck down, but that's about it. The list has gotten drastically shorter. I'm now on the piddly things, probably some of the more pain in the butt type stuff, and sorting out some bugs. So what I'm going to do today is I've bought this Motiv power bleeder. I've looked at, and I am not I typically gravity bleed everything. That's my way to do it. I'm typically most of the time I'm by myself down here, and my brake pedal pumpers that live up there in the house, they're only good for about one corner, and then the complaints start to build. So being that this thing has got the master under the floor, gravity is not on our side here. So I looked at several bleeder setups,
and I kind of like this one the best. It had pretty good reviews. I looked at the one that bleeds from the caliper back to the master, but you have to pay attention to when the master gets full, and I can see me running that over and having a lake of brake fluid. At least with this, I can put a pan under one corner and do my best to catch it. So this is the full kit. I'll put a link from Amazon in the description of the video. It was like $129. It has the big aluminum, which this is probably what we'll be using. This is the large cap adapter. It's not aluminum, I don't think. It must be steel because it's kind of hefty. But well, it might be aluminum. Either way, it's got this gasket on the back side. It's supposed to seal off most master cylinders, and it comes with the chain and the hooks, which I've heard good and bad. Also has an air fitting that I'm not 100% sure what you do with this. It didn't say anything in the directions. It didn't come with any directions, but it would be kind of neat if I have one to do a quick connect. And if I had a quick connect on this end, that means this thing stays sealed. But it also says in the directions, do not leave brake fluid in this, which I can understand why. It says to wash it with alcohol, clean everything out. If you don't have alcohol, use Simple Green. Make sure it's dry before the next use. Do not use brake cleaner. It did say that. So, but this is what we're going to use today. This is a later model GM. It's got 3 tabs, but I bought the whole kit because I never know. I mean, if this thing works great for this, then this will be my method for everything else. This is another universal round cap, import and domestic. May never use that, but hey, we got it. So I'll get me a tote or something, and big enough for it to get this fat thing in there. We'll put it all in a tote. Hadn't made a video in 2 weeks, so I really need to get back to it. I've actually been, today makes day 9 of cleaning this shop up. Pinky is not in here, it's outside. I rolled this pile of 55 junk back in here, and I've been doing nothing but clean up and hauling off and throwing away. So I'm getting back to it today. Also, probably in this video, which yes, it would be necessary, I guess I'll do an alignment on Pinky. I call it the dirt track alignment, the string alignment. So just so I can run it up and down the road, the tires are not, you know, eating themselves. Not going to get on the main road today. We'll just be right here in the neighborhood. So let me get Pinky ready to, I'm gonna try not to jack it up. That way it's easier. I can just lay on the creeper and reach up in there. If I have to jack it up, we'll just do rear end and then do the front half. Just so I don't have to put it on jack stands and then set it right back down on the ground. But let's get to it. All right, I got this thing hooked up. I built me a brake fluid catcher. My first initial impression of this thing seemed positive, which quickly went downhill to the point to where today is Sunday. I'm pretty sure that church right up the street now have a prayer committee just for me, because if I would have videoed the installation of that little lid thing, YouTube would have probably kicked me slap off the channel or the platform. Being an underfloor deal, honestly, pushing the fluid back to the master would have probably been a better way to go, because this thing, which would probably work great for like a firewall mounted unit like that thing or anything else, was a nightmare for this thing. Also, if you read the directions carefully, it says do not put brake fluid in this jug thing here until you are ready to start bleeding. So key thing there is check for leaks first, or you will do a brake fluid flush of your pumper thing, and then it'll gravity out of there if you're not careful. Anyway, so that was my fault. But so that thing's on here. Those J-hook things, those quarter 20 J-hook things, get hung on everything they're not supposed to. This one is definitely bound up on the master. That one is sort of bound up on the master. It still leaks, but not a waterfall. So let's I'm gonna put some pressure in this thing. And it said do not exceed 15 pounds. You can see it is slowly falling off, so that means we better get back here. What'd I do with my bucket? All right, see you under the truck. All right, let's crack this thing open here. We got nothing coming out. Oh, here we go. So, got some air, but that's probably from the hose. So it is bleeding into my tub here. We do have a little drippage going on up there, so we're losing pressure. So I'm gonna let this bleed for a second. All right, that looks good. So I'm gonna close this thing off. And I'm gonna move to the other side over there. All right. Well, we got some air coming out. That's, you know, that's good. Definitely got some air coming out. Okay, it's steady now. I'm gonna let that bleed. Let me go check my pressure in the tank. All right, I don't know if you can tell it or not, but that's, you can see it right there. Pretty steady, pretty steady. I'm gonna lock her down. Pull my hose off. So let's move up there to the passenger front and do this again. I believe these are 10 millimeter. Yep. Seems to have an oil leak from somewhere. Got a spot of oil on the ground right here. Right there. All right, back to the matter at hand. All right, we got some air bubbles coming out. You can see them. Oh yeah, it's a good bit. There's solid fluid. So I'm gonna let that run a minute. I'm gonna go check my tank. Put the tank back to 15. It's still steady getting it. Nice and solid fluid. All right, we're gonna lock her down right there. Pull the hose off. Let that drain in there. And we'll move to the driver's side. All right, let's go ahead and stick the wrench on there. Put my hose on. Let's get this bucket around here so we can see if we got any air coming out. Yep. Definitely got some air. Still got some air. All right, here we go. A lot of air. All right, that looks pretty solid there. All right, I'm gonna let it run for a minute. Let's check the tank. It actually works pretty well. If you can get past the potential gigantic pain in the butt it is to get those chains and hooks tight enough to seal. I've seen a couple pictures where guys that you actually use those vice grip C-clamps and metal C-clamps to to hold that plate on the master. I managed to get it tight enough. I mean, it's still dripping, so I mean, I've got a leak. You can see it, but for the most part, it's definitely sealed up. I found a air compressor quick connect that I was going to put on that, but it was used, and I was afraid to run brake fluid through a used one. So next time I'm out at somewhere that's got those things, Tractor Supply or something, I'll get a new one and we'll add to this, because that would be so much better than the pipe fitting, you know, trying to thread it together. Cross your fingers, I'm gonna start this thing up. I am curious to see where that oil leak's coming from, and we'll start it up, we'll get it warm, and we'll see how the pedal feels. I do see one thing about the exhaust. I kind of wish I'd have stayed with it now. I do not like how it's ran so close to the clutch stuff and the booster. So I feel like it's a good idea to wrap that, or heat shield or something. I really wanted it to run underneath the clutch and tie in over there and go two back, or you know, like a Y pipe single, and then wide at the muffler back there. But I didn't stay with it. I guess that's my fault. I should have stayed. To try to get over that rear end and the 4-link, and you got that panhard bar to try to swoop over, and then you got to go under the panhard bar over there, and then the 2 out. And that's what she wanted originally. I think those are 40 series Flowmaster or something similar. It sounds 2 night and days different than what it did with that old tractor looking, I don't know what these things were. Some sort of something that should stay on a tractor. It sounded awful, like way awful. Sounds like a totally different motor now. So let me get it started, warmed up, and we'll see if we got pedal. Well, it's got a much better pedal feel with it running. Obviously, being power brakes changes it. I've got to figure out some sort of spring assist on a return on this pedal, because right there we got brake lights on. Oh, sounds so much better. I gotta figure out something. I can either maybe adjust the switch to where it doesn't come on until beyond this location right here with the vacuum on it. But it would be nice. I don't know. We'll figure out something. But yeah, so far so good. I'm gonna get all this brake stuff put back away. We'll set it on the ground, and we'll do it with string alignment. So, all right, I got the alignment rack set up here. I just use a string. It's easier if the tires actually stick out of the vehicle. That way you can just kiss the rear tire, and that will line up the front tire. But with this deal, since the fenders stick out, then you gotta get a tape measure. Now, this ain't no computer deal, so I mean, but I've done Impala, my Tacoma, and countless times for my dad on the dirt car. So, and then you just come up here and you start. What I do is, like, obviously the steering wheel is crooked in this thing, and then you got to get something to hold the steering wheel or it will move. This one's a little more delicate than like a factory column, so kind of got to be cautious of that. And the steering wheel had to come off and be straightened anyway, because I knew it wasn't on straight. I use these plastic, 2 sheets of plastic as like a toe plate, because they're slick and they'll slide, unlike this concrete that's rough as a corn cob. Then the tires would kind of bind and it'd be harder to do. What I do is I make the back of the tire match with the steering wheel as far as my distance, and then I start setting the front half. You just go in there and little by little and check it. I did just run into a new issue. I didn't know this was going to be a problem. I don't have, yeah, I do have a flashlight. I have brake pedal to clutch fork clearance issues. So that red fork right there, and then you can see down in there the brake arm coming out of the floor. I got some clearance issues when the pedals are both pushed down. So I've got some help coming over. I'm gonna put it back in the air and get them to work the pedals with it running. That way the vacuum's on it and all that. And then I'm gonna mark the clutch fork and the brake pedal arm and start clearancing. They're both super beefy, so a little clearance off either one won't hurt anything. And maybe try to adjust that brake pedal rod and see if I can get any more out of it. But I'm gonna finish up this alignment before they get here, and we'll see what we can do about that situation. Well, first drive up the street, that's third gear. I didn't get my GoPro. The brakes still aren't like where I want them to be. I don't know if it would get any better or what, but still not thrilled with it. And I got some sort of racket going on. So let me get her back to the shop. All right, I closed the shop up and forgot to be done with the video. So I've ran into some more issues, but I did get, I don't think you can see it down there. Then I probably should have showed like an action shot, but I'll try to get the camera in there. You can see where I've worked on that clutch or that brake pedal arm to clear the clutch fork. Sorry I don't have a better light, but I didn't close the shop. So I was test driving it. The brakes still suck, go figure. And it had a weird brake sound noise going on. So these drums, I've never paid no attention to this, but they're the same drum, it's just a different manufacturer. They just physically different. So if you look right here, the drum is hitting the backing plate, and if you look down in there, specifically right here's a good shot of it, this is hitting the shoe. And this one, you can see it right in here where it's knocked the rust off. That's hitting the backing plate. You can see how shiny it is in there. And then the shoe has actually rubbed it right there. There we go. Shoe's rubbed it right here. And a little right there. But it's rubbing almost 3/4 of the way around, hitting real heavy right there, and then stops over in there. So I'm gonna take the drums to work, put them in the lathe, and then take a little material out of these back sides, and then this one's not hitting down in there, I don't believe. It may or may not be, but I'll clearance both of them, reach in there with the boring bar and take a little of this off, and then maybe face 100 thousandths off of this. Same way with this one right here. Go down in there, get rid of that, face that off. But I'll take those to work with me tomorrow and see what I can come up with. The motor actually runs rather strong. I was kind of surprised. Got an oil leak that's coming from somewhere. I have to sort that out. I sprayed everything with brake cleaner and wiped it out real good. The fans definitely are not going to keep it cool. I mean, it's 50 today, and I held the RPM earlier this morning. Held the RPM up, and it went up to 210. So sitting here, just should never do that. Power steering pump makes a funky racket, like a bearing noise or whatever. I don't know what's going on with that. Got some funky sounds coming from the steering, like the
I mean, I've noticed it before, like the springs where they're rotating or whatever in there on the Mustang 2 front end. Notice this as well. So this is either from trailering or the 7 miles that I've put on it in the neighborhood. The cabs actually hit the filler here. And then the same as the other side. And then right there. And I actually shimmed this cab up. So had it not shimmed it up, then it would have been way worse. And I feel like the running boards should have been bolted lower in the front, because if you'll notice, this gap gets vastly smaller as you go forward. And this is roughly about what the gap's supposed to be, because there's a filler that you can buy to go in there. So see how the gap gets drastically smaller as you go up through there? So yeah, and then need to order a few parts, pieces here and there. Fix that tail light. I don't remember if I'd covered that or not, but I somehow managed to break her tail light. And these tail lights are ridiculously crooked. If you look at them, they're leaning that way. So it looks like whoever drilled the holes done it while dizzy and in the dark. So and then I cracked that lens right there. I broke it, unfortunately, but it's okay. Things like that happen. I'll have to get it taken care of. But I'm gonna run in here, get this video edited, and thanks for watching Left 4 Dead Garage. We'll see you next week.